There is a place where winter does not forgive, where the night is long, the wind is sharp, and the cold watches every breath you take. For thousands of years, across the Arctic and beyond, indigenous tribes lived in temperatures that would kill most people in minutes. -40 degrees, -50, sometimes colder. Yet they did not merely survive. They built thriving communities. They raised children. They hunted. They laughed. They lived. Long before modern science, they understood how to bend winter to their will. Their clothing was a shield of warmth. Their homes were engineered by nature's laws. Their minds were trained to stay calm when the cold became a predator. Their survival was not chance. It was mastery. Tonight, you will discover the hidden knowledge that has protected these nations for generations. Ancient wisdom, tested by the harshest winters on Earth. Secrets that remain alive in the hearts of those who refuse to fear the cold. Because winter is powerful, but human spirit, when guided by knowledge, is stronger. There are winters so cold, the air itself seems to turn to stone. Winters where a single mistake can become a final one. Yet long before modern science, indigenous tribes lived in these frozen worlds, not as survivors, but as masters. Imagine a night when the stars flicker like frozen embers above endless snow, where the wind carries ancient voices across a land of white silence. This is the world of the Arctic and subarctic nations. A place where the cold does not forgive and does not forget. Early explorers wrote in disbelief. They expected to find people desperate and starving. Instead, they found thriving communities, homes warm enough to sleep without fear, clothing crafted not from fabric, but from engineering built into fur and hide, meals rich in fuel that kept the human flame alive. How did they do it? How did they become stronger than winter itself? To outsiders, their survival looked like magic. But to the tribes who lived it, it was knowledge passed through generations. A survival code written by the land, heat trapped inside clothing layered like a living shield, homes positioned with precision to tame the wind, stories used to train the mind not to fear the dark. The cold may be powerful, but wisdom is older. And when nights stretch longer than days, it is wisdom that keeps the fire burning. Winter was not the enemy. It was a teacher, and they were excellent students. For centuries, the world dismissed indigenous survival as myth or luck. Scientists laughed at the idea that ancient techniques could outperform modern technology. They believed survival belonged to science, not to stories. But when researchers finally stepped into this frozen world, they discovered how wrong they were. They measured how heat escapes the human body. They studied frostbite and hypothermia. They built shelters with advanced materials. And still, they could not match what tribes had perfected with nothing but nature itself. The secret was simple. Every survival rule was born from observation. Clothing that insulates with tiny pockets of air, fire that breathes without suffocating its makers, food that fuels the body like an engine burning high-octane fuel. A hunter could read the weather in the way a raven flies against the wind. A seamstress could keep a child alive with a single stitch that sealed out freezing air. An elder could hear danger in the hollow sound of ice beneath their feet. What scientists called instinct, tribes called experience. The cold tried to break the unprepared, but it could not break a community that understood every inch of the land and every breath of the wind. Survival became proof that ancient knowledge was not outdated. It was undefeated, and soon the world would be forced to admit it. There are moments when cold reveals its true nature. Moments when survival shifts from knowledge to instinct, sharpened by fear. A young hunter travels across a frozen river in Alaska. The ice breaks beneath his feet. He plunges into black water colder than death. His muscles seize. His breath vanishes. The river tries to pull him under, but he does not panic. He remembers what he was taught. Calm is warmth. Panic is death. He turns his body, finds the hole, pulls himself free. Doctors call his survival a miracle, but his people call it memory. The memory of thousands who survived before him. Scientists began to learn from these stories. They placed trackers and sensors on hunters to measure heat loss. They studied how indigenous clothing traps warmth better than manufactured gear. They found that the mind, when trained not to fear the cold, keeps the body alive longer. The world learned that survival is not brute strength. It is discipline. It is calm in chaos. It is knowledge carried like fire in the heart. Modern rescue teams, military survival units, Arctic researchers all now borrow wisdom once ignored. Because here in the coldest places on Earth, ancient teachings are the difference between life and the quiet stillness of winter. There is a truth hidden inside every blizzard. The cold is always watching to see who gives up first. But indigenous tribes refused to be victims of winter. They studied the ways of the animals. They mastered fire and ice alike. They shaped homes that breathed with the land, teepees, snow lodges, earth shelters, each a fortress of warmth built from knowledge older than maps. This was not survival. This was coexistence. Today, scientists are finally measuring what ancestors already understood. Move with the cold, not against it. Use air as insulation, protect the mind before the body, and never, ever travel alone. Because the greatest heater we have is each other. But now the cold itself is changing. Seasonal winds shift. Ancient hunting grounds vanish. Ice, once solid as stone, cracks without warning. Elders look to the horizon and whisper, "Winter is remembering us." The question becomes, not how indigenous tribes survived the past, but how the world will survive what is coming next. Yet hope remains, because the same wisdom that saved nations from freezing is still alive, living in stories, living in families, living in the fire that refuses to dim even when the stars freeze in the sky. Ancient hands still teach new minds how to trap heat inside clothing, how to read danger in the shape of a snowdrift, how to survive a night no outsider ever could. They endure. They adapt. They rise with tomorrow's sun, no matter how brutal the night before. So when you feel the cold biting at your bones, remember this. You carry the same fire that once kept whole civilizations alive at -40 degrees Celsius. The cold is a test, but you are built to pass it. If this journey through ancient survival and the power of human knowledge moved you, don't let the story end here. Support the voices that keep history alive. Like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to the channel. Together, we honor wisdom that refuses to freeze. Stay with us. More stories await.